Hello everyone and welcome to Groovers and Shakers. My name is Matilda Magna. I've created this podcast as your 20s are more than just mad phase. They're full of bold moves, dreams and lots of stories. This podcast shines a light on young people under 35 who are doing exciting, inspiring and funky things. Real convos with real people. So today we are talking to Tully O'Regan, who is the Executive Director of Geophyte. Now, Geophyte is a grassroots organisation working to create a mindset that establishes a synchronous relationship between the environment and its inhabitants. He is also producing a documentary called Small Town Coal, so we're going to get into that now. Lights, camera, action. Tully, welcome. How are you?
I'm so good, Tilly. Thank you so much for having me. It's so cool that we get to reconnect like this. Tilly and Tully back at it again.
I know, so exciting.
I'm super stoked to be here. Thank you for having me.
First of all, what is your life story? Like, tell us all about you. What were you like growing up?
Let's take it back to the beginning. I'm a small town boy,
Yes.
just like you. We're from the same neck of the woods,
Yes.
on different paths as you're in London, which is crazy. Grew up riding horses, hanging out down by the river, really getting my feet in the sand. Moved to Sydney to go to school, which was a great opportunity. Moved out, ripped in Newtown, got really involved in the education sphere through my work and like other cool like volunteer startup stuff. And now I'm kind of on the path where I'm looking to make politically charged documentaries. So I'm really sinking my teeth into, well, you know this, Tilly, because we're from the Coal Bowl, which is where we both grew up. And I'm really trying to explore that from a young person's point of view, but also with like a community aspect, because that is obviously my home neck of the woods, Musselbrook, right next to Scone. And I'm really working towards like environmentally, politically charged journalism. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I work for an environmental tech startup, and that's where I kind of get my, I want to say, technological side of it from. And then I just hang out within the circles and explore conversations with political leaders.
I think you're doing amazing things, like such big things. So you left out the executive director of Geophyte. Geophyte, from your website, is a grassroots organization working to create a mindset that establishes a synchronous relationship between the environment and its inhabitants. What was the seed moment you decided to start Geophyte?
You do a pun, you drop a pun. I'm keen for the pun.
That was the pun. What was the seed moment you decided to start Geophyte?
What was the seed moment? Oh, too funny. I missed it twice. The seed moment, Tilly, was me and a homie. We were like, there's so much media saturation that is pro non-renewables. And I'm a big believer in the power of storytelling in terms of changing people's minds and shifting the tide when it comes to voting. I think education is the greatest tool. So me and another co-founder, Gabriella, we decided to start investigating this coal debacle, a story which I've been growing up with, but to really sink our teeth into the academics of it. And then Geophyte, as a grassroots media organisation that promotes synchronicity with the environment, is all built around creating digestible media. So we want to kind of connect with a younger audience to some degree through both like a Andrew Callaghan style comedic kind of strain, and while still maintaining serious documentary undertones.
You conducted a report around the changing nature of the mining sector, and you're currently in pre-production for an exciting documentary called Small Town Coal, where you highlight small towns and coal mining. So we're going to have a chat. I would have a chat about the report first because it was super intriguing. Can you walk us kind of just through the core message of the report, and why did you specifically focus on Musselbrook and the coal industry now?
Well, I couldn't do it when I was 12, Tilly. Yeah, you and I, we were there. We were in it. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the skills, the abilities, or the vocab.
I mean, I
And
don't know
now I
about
just
you,
feel
but I
like,
was out protesting. I was out protesting with "Don't Undermine Us" at 12.
hey, hashtag stop Adani, don't undermine us. Those movements are still going strong.
Yes,
I think the reason we've gained momentum now is because, well, one, I've grown up a little bit. I've got a little bit more free time to explore these other avenues,
of
as
course.
as you and I both know. And then number two is that it's crunch time. So it's really now or never. Yes, the technology to hopefully close the hole that is our environmental policy debacle is always kind of moving forward, but
Yeah,
the the possibility for backwards policy is so prevalent. I mean, we've seen in the States, it's a complete shift away from a climate inclusive understanding, and there's a lot of fear that Australia could walk down the same path, regardless of whether they do or not. They're still not walking down the right path fast enough. So
yeah,
I want to kind of help accelerate that process. In any way that I can, however small that is. I think I want to be involved in the discussion, and I think people want to be informed. Media
yeah.
saturation is such a prevalent issue. The Murdoch debacle is so real, and I don't know about you, Tilly, but we're young people. We need to speak up. We need to speak up. Being in the streets is great, but it's easy to shut that down.
Yeah.
Storytelling is the way. I firmly believe that, and it's one of the only ways that I can kind of facilitate it without going into the mines themselves and unraveling a mining truck with my wrench.
I think kind of going back to you kind of did a comparison with America. Now you went to university for a stint in Europe, and I grew up for the majority of my life in Europe. In comparison to Australia, Europe seems to be moving more aggressively on climate policy and sustainability. Europe have set firm phase out dates, established transition funds, and involved unions and communities in the planning. Like Germany, for example, has committed over 40 billion to help coal regions transition while still maintaining strong climate targets and job protections. Australia, on the other hand, has no national phase out plan for coal. It continues to approve new coal mines even as others are being shut down. Obviously, Europe's planning ahead with clear sustainability targets and support for workers, whilst Australia kind of seems a bit hypocritical on that, whilst saying it wants to move forward sustainably, but also still continuously keeping a foot in coal. Do you think that's political fear, economic dependence, or just poor planning within the industry?
I mean, firstly, like, great breakdown of that. I just want to touch on the Europe thing. I mean, Europe's got $500 billion they want to spend on renewables, and they're coming to Australia to fill that hole, but Australia won't take the leap. I think it's a
Okay.
culmination of, actually, I don't think it's economic fears, because the renewable market is monstrous, and if we get on it ASAP, we'll be a leader in renewables. We've got the
Yeah,
largest land mass for solar in the world, the greatest potential for hydro and wind farms. I think what it really comes down to with coal is that we're in a bit of a toxic relationship, for lack of a better word. We can't get away from our ex.
yeah.
Coal mines and coal mining corporations lobby quite heavily, and their their lobby power is what really shifts the political tide. If you look at it from an economic standpoint, it makes no sense. The Australian government spends $10 billion a year to subsidise fuel costs for coal and iron ore. Now that is more than they spend on branches of the military, and it's almost as much as they spend on education, which is super jarring,
That's
and quite
insane.
depressing to see. And that's insane. And then you're like, so why are we doing this? Like that doesn't make any sense. I'm paying for it. I'm subsidizing this. Coal companies pay less tax than, like, some coal companies pay less tax than the average nurse through subsidies, tax avoidance, and selling coal overseas at a greater rate. They jump through tax loopholes. They pay minimum costs in royalties. It just doesn't make any sense financially. And the reason that we're stuck in this toxic relationship and we can't move away from it is because they've got so much power in government. We've been tricked as the Australian public to believe that.
Coming from the unions, do you think?
I just think it's the media. tricking everybody into believing that coal provides a lot of jobs. Coal mines don't. They provide less than 1% of jobs in the country. And tricking people into thinking that coal brings a lot of money to Australia. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We pay for it. Like big international businesses are the ones who benefit. And I don't know, I'm not seeing the dollars. Like in Scandinavian countries they get checks. The average citizen gets checks for their natural resources. Same in Qatar. You tell
Yeah.
me if the streets of Muswellbrook are paved in gold. They're not. It's
No.
riddled with socioeconomic disparity. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of lobbying power and the issues with bureaucracy, because like the clean energy potential is there. It's just we don't have the stones. We don't have the
Yeah.
stones, Tilly, to send it, which is
Yeah.
really disheartening as a young person. And I'm sure you understand that. It's just depressing.
Going back to like lobbying and foreign ownership, do you think the average Australian even, do you think they realize how little control we have over our resources and what needs to shift in that public understanding?
I think that Australians are waking up um, to a degree, but they're not waking up fast enough. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
hard to argue against the facts that like coal mining wages are really high, and that's like a huge argument for coal mines. There are some strong political voices who are trying to take the veil off, but where Australia, we've been nicknamed a lucky country, and
Yeah.
it's not luck because our lifestyle is so good. It's luck because we stumbled across these resources. And the interesting way to look at it is it's lucky. And if you're lucky, you're usually not successful because of your own merit. We're lucky
Yeah.
we stumbled across these resources, and these resources are the only things keeping us afloat. And that's a really strong argument from the coal mines. But we haven't even explored other alternatives, because whilst
Yeah.
they may be keeping us afloat to some degree, they still don't make any financial sense. We could be doing so much better. I just can't justify the fact that the government's spending almost as much on coal mines as it is on the education system. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not investing in the future. So I think that the Australian public is waking up because the whole world is waking up, but it's that fear of change. It's that fear of moving forward. And it's that fear of taking the leap. And that's all been propelled by the media and poor government representatives.
Looking at the Hunter Valley, so the link between fossil fuels, bushfires, and health is really clear in your report. Hunter Valley is a massive there's a massive influx of cases of asthma within people in Muswellbrook, and I met a nurse who developed really bad asthma ever since moving to Singleton. Why is this connection being downplayed in public conversations?
I think it all comes back to who controls the narrative. So what I'm trying to do is take back some sort of control. Um, it's like with any great disaster, those in powers who don't want people to know about it will prevent people from knowing about it. And controlling that narrative can control people's votes, and it can control how people feel about particular things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in Muswellbrook, I mean, it's such a the health concern is extremely real. You hear cases of people's backyard pools being covered in dust from the mines. There's an old woman we interviewed who has to vacuum her lampshades because so much dust from the mines gets on them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a genius to know that that is not good to be going into your body. Um, I think it benefits the mines a lot to keep a lid on that narrative,
Yeah.
um, because it's so far away and it's quite easy to control. Um, in terms of the bushfires and the climate change outcomes, I mean that's very legitimate and very real. Um, but lots of people just kind of play that down to changes in the weather, and that's quite an ignorant, not forward-thinking way to look at it. Um, but yeah, I mean the health implications with Mussy, with the dusts, are very real and very concerning and very much not spoken about.
What kind of accountability do you think is urgently needed from both the government and the coal industry, not only in Muswellbrook, but as a whole?
So I believe, so that there will be no accountability for such things. Like the really concerning thing about coal mines is that, yes, they're a giant scar on the earth, and they're owned by big fossil fuels corporations like Rio Tinto or BHP, and those guys are no stranger to not picking up after themselves. The fines and repercussions for leaving a coal mine not fully regenerated, I believe, come to $1 billion for a mine. That's the fine. So if they leave now and don't fix it properly, that's $1 billion that's going to come out of taxpayers' pockets. I think to really pay the repercussions, it's all about just letting the dust settle and looking forward. To be honest, I mean, like, lots of the world was built on fossil fuels, and now that we don't need them, it doesn't make sense to continue with it. From a government standpoint, I think there needs to be some sort of regulation around the powers of lobbying. I don't know if you know, but Labor tried to pass a bill last year which means you wouldn't be able to track at all where the money came from. That was, thank God, rejected. But the fact that big corporations can still influence the vote at such a low percentage of the actual profits that they're making is completely absurd. So in terms of accountability, it just takes a little bit of collective thinking and a little bit of synchronicity with the environment.
Yeah. Jeez. It's absolutely mental.
It's mental, man. It's like,
Yeah.
it's one of the greatest problems that we face right now as Australians. I mean, you look at the housing crisis, you look at the cost of living, and you're like, why the hell am I paying to keep these giant archaic companies here? It just doesn't make sense for my pocket.
And it's also corrupt as well.
Like it is. It's like what it's political corruption. It's buying votes. There was I don't know if you saw, there's a news article a couple of months ago where it was Gina Reinhardt, Pauline Hanson, and a couple of other politicians at like a dinner party, and the fact you can even have those people in a room. Gina Reinhardt being one of the greatest mining powers in Australia, mingling with politicians is just like a slap in the face of the public. It's a money thing, and money's tight right now. We might be entering a global recession. So like, let's start like pulling up our bootstraps.
Yeah, 100%. And looking towards the future.
Looking towards the future for people like you and me.
Yeah, 100%. That's why we need people like you to get these conversations going.
Well, these are conversations that we all should be having. And I was chatting to my friend the other day, and he was like, the federal election's around the corner and we're not talking about it enough. And I was like, you're very, very, very true. Politics is a taboo thing and people are bored by the discussion, but it does affect us all. And it is important to know where your tax-paying dollars go, as opposed to just paying taxes for the sake of paying taxes. Like, I want to know that my taxes are going towards schools and fixing roads and ensuring that people who are less fortunate can be better off, as opposed to making sure that these fellas make a bunch of money overseas and none of it's invested into Australia.
So we're gonna have a bit of a chat about your documentary.
A little bit for those who don't know, or those who are listening. It's called Small Town Coal. It's about Muswellbrook, which is a town close to where Tilly and I are from, and its relationship with coal, and it's about the community perspectives. So it's bipartisan. Documentary making. I'm not interested in skewing. I want everyone to make up their own minds. Obviously, there's also lots of opinions floating around the town. But the general consensus is that when coal leaves, and it will leave, like, people can't kid themselves. At some point, it will leave because the amount of money that we made from clean energy is so great when our government figures it out. When coal leaves, Muswellbrook is at a great risk of being left behind. So we're trying to approach the whole discussion from a community perspective and being like, yes, coal is here, it's not great, let's debunk some myths about it. But what's being done next? How can we future-proof this town and ensure that their story doesn't fall into the wind like so many other small towns from Queensland when big mining corporations leave? Because they leave, they don't care, and towns die. We had a conversation with the mayor, and his greatest concern is that if there is not some sort of policy implemented to ensure some sort of future-proofing, whether it be renewables or manufacturing in some sort of way, he's very concerned that Muswellbrook will die. And that's a very real concern from lots of the people as well. Small Town Coal is all about humanising the discussion and looking forward. It's not about shaming and punching down on these communities. It's about ensuring that they survive.
Yeah. Amazing. For you, what does success look like for small town Cole? Are you hoping to influence policy, shift perspectives, or is it something else entirely?
I mean, so when I kind of came up with the idea to do this and felt the push to create something, it was never really success driven. It was just like, this is a story that needs to be told. Success would be changing people's minds. It would be educating. Hopefully, we'll definitely have a viewing of it in Muswellbrook, and that might shift a tide there. I can definitely view it as some sort of contributor to the curriculum in a couple of schools up there, if they're willing to kind of take that on.
Yeah,
It's not a piece of like political propaganda. It's just a piece of saying it as it is. This is as it is,
yeah,
and you need to be aware of it, whether you're in the big city or you're in the outback. It does affect us all. So like success for me, Tilly, is that people see it and they have a conversation with somebody about it, and that spurs another conversation, which might spur something else, and that's how you create change, essentially.
yeah, 100%. Oh my God, it's so exciting though.
It's so exciting, Tilly.
Yeah,
It's so
so great.
exciting.
So great.
Big shout out to Vanessa Lamb, who's our director. She's our director and leader of the production. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, and big shout out to Mark, who's our mentor. Um, no, it's very exciting, Tilly. It's very exciting.
And I'm gonna finish off with two questions. So, at the
Yeah,
moment,
baby.
this is completely different to what we've been talking about, but what's your favorite album at the moment? What are you listening to, and what's your favorite songs
Uh,
you're listening to?
my
Yeah.
favorite band right now is Radio Free Alice,
Okay.
upcoming Australian band. They're currently touring in the States. Bunch of young guys, really,
Yeah.
really, 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 really cool. Um, and my favorite song of theirs right now is Empty Words, cool EP release. And
Okay.
then another great song, upcoming tune, which I'm in love with, is Holy Ghost by Smoosco. Deep back of house, smoky kind of jazzy vibes. You would love it.
Oh my God, no, I love that.
Yeah, really cool. Both Australian, both young people, both just doing what they want to do.
Amazing. Oh my God, I can't wait to have a listen to those.
Have a
Um,
listen. Give me your reviews.
I like to finish off with if you could give some advice to yourself 10 years ago. So, how old are we now? We're 23. So, 13-year-old Tully, what would you give?
I think I'd be more encouraging to follow artistic pursuits earlier on and maintain momentum with them. I mean, you and I did the whiz. Great
Yes.
moment. Yes, we did. Couldn't have gotten better than that. But I think for a little while there, I lost my way in terms of doing what I thought people wanted me to do, and
Yeah.
it's important to kind of do what you want to do, and that's the
Yeah.
only way you can really tell the story you want to tell.
Yeah, I think coming from like as a creative myself, I find I've tried to go into corporate jobs and things like that. And the more you move away from that creativity, I find you're always being pulled back to it. So I think it's so important to stay true to it.
I feel like we as people we've started measuring things like painting and dancing and singing as skill based activities, and we need to remember that those are just things that humans innately do.
Yeah,
So creativity, it shouldn't be a skill or a job. It should be something that you just do because you always leave. I don't know. For me, you always leave a discussion with people about when you're interviewing them, or you leave an edit and you feel more full,
yeah,
which I'm
100%.
sure you totally understand when you play a banger on the piano and dip.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm feel at my fullest when I'm bashing a piano. Anyway, thank you so much, Tully, for coming on my
Thank you,
podcast.
Tilly.
Really appreciate it.
Dude, so cool. I'm so stoked that, like, mate, I'm just stoked you're doing it. Like, I love watching everything you get up to. Like, it really makes my heart explode.
Oh, thank you, Tully. I appreciate that so much, and I'm the same to you.
I can't wait.
I'm watching you in the most least creepiest way possible. I'm always watching you from afar. I'm like such a
We're watching
wizard.
each other from afar. You're an amazing woman. I can't wait till I get over to London and see you.
Oh my god, no, I'm excited. Thank you so much for listening. Give us a follow on Instagram, Groovers and Shakers. That's Groovers with a Z and Shakers with a Z. And then also give us a follow on TikTok to see some behind the scenes stuff. Yep, let's go.